AI in Action is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting, and networking needs. Our host brings you the leading minds in AI, sharing their story, their success, and their advice. Focusing on fast-tracking you to the top, AI in Action cuts through the hype to help you kickstart your data science career. To listen to the latest AI in Action podcast, head over to www.alldus.com/podcast or subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Podcasts.
Hello and welcome to another cybersecurity episode of the AI in Action podcast. I am your host, John Petherbridge. Today's guest is Malik Rehman. He is the Chief Information Security Officer for a leading global online food ordering and delivery business. In this episode, Malik gives a unique insight into how such industries have thrived throughout the recent pandemic.
Well, thanks, John, for having me today. I do have like 16 or 17 years of experience. I'm in a cybersecurity information security business. But I started my journey with an IT in those days when IT was actually running the security function, and security has to be under IT, and the businesses, they used to think that the security is an IT problem. The things have changed now, and that led me from those days. That built a passion in me that why security is everyone's responsibility. So why it's always been considered IT problem. So that actually led me to go for the certifications, trainings, and look deeply into the security and start working on the algorithms and the security products. And that actually was the start of the journey when I actually moved to the security. And later in 2010, 2011, that was a time when everyone has recognized security as an industry and build the framework specifically stating that the security should not be reporting to the IT. And they're even in the Gulf states and the Middle East and many APAC region where I have worked, you can find that the security, it's really a regulation that the security should be a specific and a separate department out of IT function itself. So there is no biased opinion. And that actually brought me security, and now I'm here working in a security for 16 years now.
Yeah, it is quite clear the transition from, well, in a lot of industries it still hasn't fully transitioned, but from an IT issue to a business issue, that security is now. That's super interesting to hear where you've come from with that. So a lot of your experience has been based in the Middle East, but you've also worked across Europe and other countries. Have you noticed much differences in practices and I guess approach to cybersecurity in general from the last kind of amount of years you've had doing this?
Yes, actually, different regions have their different problems, and the threat landscape is completely different from one another. And on top of that, how they deal with the situation is completely different. Because let's say, from my background, I have worked in the GCC region, Middle East, Europe, the APAC region, Australia, and the US. So what happens is that how the different landscape is moving. Like, let's say the Middle East market is more prone to the ransomware attack, because they believe that these people they don't have backup strategies, or they don't have business continuity strategies. So they will be willing to pay for the amount. Like if they're being attacked ransomware, there was the day that a dangerous attack ransomware, WannaCry ransomware, was hit on the market of Middle East. Now, if we go to other regions, they have completely different. They have a phishing and marketing scams more than just, because they know they do have governance, strong governance, but not strong technical controls. So what they do is they attack that market with the phishing campaigns, where the spear phishing happens. They send a user an email, and that's been directed to the external phishing website, and then they try to do the attacks there. The practices, obviously, how it differs is that how actually they treat it. So everyone is working now. The Middle East is working mostly on the governance part. Now, recently we have so many regulations coming in the market. There is 2 years ago there was a recent NCA, a National Cybersecurity Authority, was established just to issue the frameworks and the best practices for the cybersecurity in the region. So you can understand that how much strict governance they are planning, because they have seen that they lack the governance. And in the west side, like APAC and Europe region, they are moving to the managed service companies. Like they are focusing on how they want to move actually their risk, or they want to transfer their risk. Instead of having a CapEx model, they want to move to an OpEx model, just giving all their infrastructure to be a managed service infrastructure. And then they already had the good governance practices, so they can have the best of both worlds.
That's really interesting that the attacks differ and vary to region. I was never aware of that. So the difference between the ransomware and then the phishing, and the different campaigns across different regions. Yeah, that's crazy. And I guess like being a kind of like a CISO like yourself, or a senior security professional, do you feel that you have to kind of split yourself into a few different pieces to kind of, if you're overlooking a few different regions, to ensure that you're approaching each country with the kind of the correct mindset that is specific to that country?
Yeah. Actually, this is the biggest challenge that we are facing nowadays, is because we build our frameworks on basis of ISO 27001, NIST cybersecurity framework, a Basel or something. The banking have very stringent PCI framework. We have very strict frameworks that we just have to comply as a checklist. The challenge comes here is that you cannot have a silver bullet. You cannot have the same policy or the same framework in a different country, but while they have their complete different challenges. So the framework should be flexible, and the security practices and controls should be actually tailored according to the threat landscape of that specific industry. So this is actually I'm working nowadays to customize that kind of frameworks, because we already have many frameworks which are like, it's really difficult to have the big repository of so many frameworks, and then you have so many overhead of compliance checks and governance checks. So your model should be flexible or easy in a way that you can apply that in any specific region. And we are actually working on this, and we have been very successful recently building such kind of a framework that all the regions they can use, and still they don't have issues, and they have flexibility of running their business.
Yeah, that's a really good concept. And from a research standpoint, is that just something that you would reach out to the different parts within the business, or what sort of community have you kind of extracted all that information from, and like how have you gone about putting all that information together to have this kind of, well, nearly a silver bullet?
Oh yeah, well yes, actually, as you know that I'm doing my research now, and that's the PhD degree. So I'm doing a research-based degree, and I've learned many different methods of doing the research, and there's always quantification methods and qualitative methods of research, and I have learned a lot on how to do this research. The survey helps a lot, the interviewing people helps a lot, and definitely working closely with industry peers helps you a lot to identify that what challenges they are facing and how we can help them. Because always we as security people, I have seen that they perceive us to be business stoppers while we are enablers, and just it's an easy thing that we have to deliver that message to them, that how we can really enable your business instead of disabling it. And sooner or later they will open up about their problems, and then that's the point where you have all the required data to work on and to help them actually build a specific set of controls for them.
It's really interesting. How's the PhD going? Is a lot of work, I imagine.
A lot of work. It's actually in the beginning it looked easy, that you will have a lot of time. That's a research base, and you have to do things part-time. But actually, as you go into the research, that's a thing I would like the early, and I would say the intermediate or the early security experts to know, that it's not an easy deal when you are doing the doctorate or you're doing the PhD. The doctorate is purely a work-based. You can apply the existing knowledge, what you have in the industry while you are growing. So you can take the doctorate, and that's not that challenging when it comes to applying the existing knowledge you have. But let's say if you have to invent something new, and then you have to build something new that can help the industry solve their problems. Here comes the challenging part. You have to invest really a lot of time doing a separate research other than your normal working hours and normal working days and the normal working practices. So it's challenging. At the same time, it's interesting that you learn many new things.
Yeah, so fair play to you. Yeah, taking it on in your career as well. It's a lot to work on, and a lot of different ways to kind of to split yourself. But no, it's fair play to you. I know in your current role,
Yeah.
you are running the cybersecurity for a globally successful delivery business, and obviously this call is being recorded in a COVID-19 lockdown sort of period. I'd be really interested to get an insight into how you see the evolution of the delivery industry, because everybody is now living at home or working from home. There's a lot more restrictions for some people, but has that benefited the delivery industry or hindered it? Or if you want to maybe just shed a bit of light on that, that'd be super interesting.
Well, there's a famous that you have heard that somebody's trash is others' treasure. So now in the COVID situation, this industry is booming because people are not going out of they're out of their homes and they are stuck to certain limits, and they can't move. Their movements is limited. So now here our part comes that we have actually different vectors of the business. We do have the businesses where we have dark stores like the grocery stores. At the same time, we have restaurants. So we deliver many things now. Now we actually have expanded our business. Previously, we were just delivering the foods to the doorstep, and which was easy because if you talk about the difference between the region, if you do the evaluation, if you do take the statistics, the European market, they would like, let's say 40 to 50% of the people, their opinion is to order something at home because they're finding a reason to go outside. They have a beautiful weather and a situation is different there, and they're trying to find a way to socialize. But now in the Middle East, the weather is so hot that they are not even to go outside. They want to do most of the things and most of the gathering in their home. So they prefer the things at doorstep. So actually, the transformation did not change much after COVID, because the people in the Middle East, they were already doing many things from home. Like they were doing the socialization, parties and gatherings, everything at home. But what happened was that the business of the groceries, that has also moved to the delivery business. Like previously, the people can go outside, they can go to the store, they can just go for a shopping, they can do the groceries and everything. Now they cannot do. So they're moving to the groceries deliveries at home, and this has helped us expand the business, a new vector in the business, where what we can do is we can take those groceries. We have the dark stores, we just save that groceries, and we can deliver the order, and actually it's very profitable business. At the same time, this transformation brings many challenges from perspective of logistics, challenges from perspective of operation, and the security and IT, because you have so many new issues coming up. The number of people they're utilizing your app, because you have transferred from the website to a complete mobile app, and you're providing users completely different channel of payments and utilization of the application. So there are so many users. You are overloaded sometimes. You really need to make sure that you meet the SLAs of the availability, and you have high systems to run at every single time, high storages, high processing powers. So there are many challenges in this industry, while there is so many burden on the apps by the users delivering the things to the home.
That's super interesting. Like, to think of, obviously the logistics part is huge. So how are you going to have the people to deliver everything that you need delivered? And then yeah, you obviously, so you guys probably launched an app, or you upgraded your app to be a bit more all encompassing. How long did it take from, I guess, the initial kind of onset of lockdown, or to or announcements that things are going to change and things are going to be more restricted? How did it take from that point to where you guys were now really able to manage the new sort of the new volume of work that you guys are taking on?
Well, yes, there is a drastic change in the numbers. Because as the news comes that there is a lockdown, there's a full dog lockdown, or there's a partial lockdown, or it's an easy lockdown, the perspective of the people changes, and the numbers of the profitability, it's also changes. Like how much people are ordering previously and how much they do after the lockdown is huge.
How much do you think will change now? Should we go back to like normal in inverted commas? Do you think that off the back, the convenience of how much can be actually delivered to you will enable people to think, oh wait a second, I'll continue to get stuff delivered to me and only go out and pick things up when I have to? Like, do you believe that the positive impact on the delivery industry will continue, or what do you see happening in the future?
Well, what I see is that first of all, the uncertainty of how things gonna work. Like if you have seen the experts, they are actually predicting the things to remain same till end of this year, and somebody is saying that maybe it will move on to the next year. So the uncertainty is there. And secondly, the comfort, the users, the people, they are in their comfort zone while they're receiving everything on their doorstep. So I believe if things are even open up, there is a huge scope of this business in the market, and we need more drivers, we need more businesses, we need more people just to mitigate or to bridge that gap specifically. Because the people are mostly there were a number of population that they never knew about this kind of a business and delivery, and they were always going to the restaurants and hotels, and they were ordering, and they're spending their precious time on the roads while traveling, and in the traffic, they're stuck in the traffic. So they have learned this, that they can be at home in the COVID situation and they can order. So they have learned also. So we have seen a drastic increase in the numbers. So I don't think so it will be easy for the people to just roll back and fall back to the previous method of just spending 10 hours in the traffic and to reach somewhere. They will prefer to do the basic groceries through online delivery, and the foods online delivery, and rest of the important things which they have to do, if they need, they will definitely go out.
Yeah, I think, all we can do is kind of speculate, because there's so much uncertainty. But obviously, you are speaking from an area of huge experience and knowledge, so that's really good to know. And I think just from a CISO perspective, or a Chief Security Officer perspective, what challenges do you think CISOs around the world are facing most at the moment in relation to the crisis?
Well, the first challenge that anyone in the technology business, because the CISOs, they are also working in the middle. They are working in the enterprise risk area and also in the technology domain. So that's the difficult part here. Now the CISOs, they are suffering from two different things. One is the technology, that they have to make sure that technology is secure, which is actually provided. That's the underlying platform for running that specific application that is secure. And the second thing is that the enterprises, they are actually getting the value out of it. So they have to play, they have to wear two hats. Now, the challenges for the CISOs is that once they cannot be on site, so they have to do the job, they have to communicate. The communication is the key. They have to communicate with different people. And since there is a new concept of vCISO, so people are actually considering, the organization, they have never considered the virtual CISO concept, and they never actually wanted a CISO, and they said, no, we can outsource all the business to the managed security businesses, and we are easy to to go like this way, and we don't have to do a lot of effort. They are also thinking to have the VCs, or at least to look after the things and bridge the gap between their enterprise risk and the technology.
That's really interesting. Have you seen much of the VCs though? Have you seen that come to market at all, or is that a concept that you're interested in?
Well, no, the VCs, it's a virtual CISO. What happens is that they don't hire them on the permanent payroll. One virtual CISO is working for many different organizations at the same time. Sometimes he's working for 2 different organizations, providing them the overview, because it's been turning to be like the CISO is more of a governance role and a risk role, rather than just a compliance and a technology role.
Yeah, I think that's a really good, really strong concept as well, because not a lot of places could afford to take on a CISO full time either, nor would they need a CISO full time. I think that kind of offers the expertise and probably matches on a cost point as well, but also it does provide someone to share that oversight and kind of map out the threat landscape as well, and show them what to avoid. Yeah, that's interesting. I think a lot more things will start to have V before them. A lot more roles, especially off the back of this, and how successful a lot of places have been with all sorts of remote working and remote onboarding. So that's quite interesting.
Sure.
And I guess just to kind of close off this chat, if you were to, I suppose, if you were to have one thing that you could say that you want to be remembered by from a perspective in cybersecurity and the impact you had on the market, because it's quite clear you're very passionate about cybersecurity and you're studying now for your PhD. What would be the kind of one thing you'd like to positively impact the cybersecurity community with?
Well, the one thing I would say is the awareness. That I would like to spread as much awareness as I can, and be at least delivering the concept of the CISO, that the security is a business enabler, and they always want to work in a very flexible manner, and their mission is really very much aligned and with the businesses itself. And the security itself is a new industry that has been getting a lot of recognition. So I would definitely like to leave the impact on the younger generation, to at least know that there is a lot of potential in this business, and pursuing this is definitely very rewarding from the perspective of financial perspective, and definitely from the career perspective, and having their story written and having a big impact and adding a value for the organizations.
Thank you so much for your time, Malik. Look, I hope we can catch up again. And look, I appreciate your time. You're clearly very busy.
Definitely. Thank you, John, for having me today. And it was really interesting discussion. And actually, I have learned a lot from you. And definitely, anyone will be hearing this will have so many questions in their mind cleared already. And thank you for having me today.
AI in Action is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting, and networking needs. Alldus offer an exec search program. Alldus can help you discover how data science and AI can transform your company. With our unrivaled network of C-suite executives and senior AI professionals, we offer retained search services across the US and Europe. Get the Alldus advantage. Become a member of the Alldus community and enjoy some of the following: AI meetups. Once a month, our community gathers to listen to some of the leading experts in the world of data science and AI. Our speakers come from all over the world, including Dublin, Boston, and Frankfurt. We also have our AI mentors. Our experts will provide mentoring to Alldus members. And don't forget our AI in Action podcast. Each week we have guests from all over the world talking us through their education, career, and more. Become an Alldus member and get the Alldus advantage. For more information and to sign up for our newsletter, log on to www.alldus.com. That's www.alldus.com. Alldus International, empowering through AI.